Yeah, no, I know I got 29 minutes with you. I
Let's
want to
go. How
maximize
are
this.
you? Good.
I'm good. You've been just killing it
Oh,
on the
thank
LinkedIn
you.
game. Like you are guys just love seeing the success out there. It's just something that I'm really passionate about. And that's kind of why I wanted to bring you on and just kind of keep every time I see it on
Thank you so
LinkedIn,
much. I
repost it.
appreciate the support from so far away. And also, I think it's a great way to keep everybody engaged in what everyone else is doing. So even if it's the smallest thing of one of our athletes doing something, I'm like, oh, that needs to go up so more people can see it. And we
Right?
put up a video of a guy working out the other day, one of our adaptive athletes, and some stranger on LinkedIn donated $500 to our program just out of nowhere. Yeah, and I emailed him. I
What?
said, how do you know us? What's the connection?" He said, "Oh, I just saw you on LinkedIn and I love the work that you're doing." And he donated $500, which was incredible, right?
Goosebumps.
It makes you feel
Oh
good
my
about what you're doing.
gosh. Yes, like
Yep.
that's incredible. Like, oh my gosh.
So yeah, we are doing everything here to potentially grow our program even more with adaptive athletes and our gym as a whole. So we're very proud of that.
Yeah, as you should. And I think maybe since the last time we spoke, I've noticed we had like not to the extreme with some of the adaptive athletes that you've had, but we've had some adaptive athletes that maybe have
Nice.
an amputee above the arm. She might not snatch, she
That's
cleans
awesome.
and then jerks,
That's
has a
great.
setup for that, has a setup for
Yep.
how she does pull ups. A guy was a single leg above the knee amputee was still doing his deadlift, still doing like clean. And I'm just
It's
like,
cool.
the exact thing that you said that one time where your non-adaptive athletes come in and they're like,
Yeah.
well, I
If
guess I
they're
don't
doing
have
it,
any
then I can do it.
excuses today.
Absolutely. Now, are these guys working out at your gym? Are you coaching them?
They are in the
Awesome.
CrossFit
Yeah.
class. So like, it's not me doing
Sure.
one-on-ones with them, but it's them doing the modification that they know that they can handle for,
That's
for
awesome.
who they are
That's
and what their
great. So
needs
that's
are.
very motivating for you too as an athlete to be like, okay, I can do it too. That's awesome.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And no, like for me personally, it's like, yeah, I have not even the slightest of an excuse as to why. Like, oh, it's
Hmm.
4:30 and I'm tired. Well, shut up.
Well, what is
Like,
the latest with you guys? What are you guys up to?
whoo, geesh, we've got sprint biomechanics course that was just completed today. We've let everybody know on the pre-sale list that that's coming out,
Awesome.
and my manuscript is done with the publisher Cognella, so we're waiting on them to finish up all the legal stuff. And then I need to get going on the medicine ball training book for human
Nice.
kinetics. Got
That's
a bunch of
great.
courses, more people just trying to educate them on, like you said, like, all right, how do you help these adaptive athletes? All right, ACL injuries are still happening. So we've
Hmm.
got the ACL course, and just trying to help coaches understand best practices and be able to save money, because let's call it what it is. Budget cuts are real for
Yeah.
strength coaches right
Well,
now.
definitely send those courses
And
our
some
way
of
so
them,
we can help, push those out as well.
yeah, please do. And so like the reason I wanted you on is maybe strength coaches don't always have in the college setting, team setting, high school setting, might not have as serious of adaptive athletes, but they need to learn how to try to still keep plan B as
Hmm.
close to plan A. And maybe they might be in a situation where they had an athlete that was almost paralyzed or lost it. Like, and I wanted you to be able to come on and shed some light as to how you think, all right, plan B, keep it as close to plan A and still keep this adaptive athlete in the program, mentally engaged,
Yeah,
and
and
yada yada.
and I actually just got off a call not too long ago, and that was something that we talked about is how to keep these guys still coming in. We have noticed that in our program, we have a lot of elite athletes that have had some sort of injury, long-term injury that has affected their lives. And I would say that they stick around for a long time in the program. Where we're having a hard time is individuals that come in and probably haven't had that same athletic background. They haven't played sports prior to the injury, or maybe they didn't go to the gym and, do high intensity training or strength training before they were injured. And so now they come into our program and they're,
Mm-hmm.
I throw them into it. Of course I do an assessment when they come in. I make sure that they have range of motion. I look at all these things ahead of time, but then as soon as I get the green light, as these guys can move well and they have, pain-free range of motion, then I start putting the barbell on them. I have them doing pull-ups out of the wheelchair. I have them, getting on the floor and transferring in and out of their chair. And, I put that in a workout in a group setting, which I think is great for camaraderie, teamwork,
Yeah.
all those things. And sometimes that can be challenging for a lot of, I would say, female adaptive athletes. Which is interesting.
Huh.
Yes. Maybe these athletes come on and they're used to maybe personal training or they're used to physical therapy, and they come in and this is a little
Yeah.
bit more, you got to have thick skin. These guys are busting on you all the time about, things. They're giving each other a hard time. You kind of have to have that thick skin to be in this environment. So we've just noticed that there's a little bit of a trend there that it is hard, but that's the clientele that I want to come into the gym. I want those adaptive athletes who have previously played sports or, were an elite athlete before they got injured, and now they're getting back into it
Yes.
after their injury. And they have that mindset, because that's everything. I can't teach mindset. I have to have you come in to be like, I'm willing to put myself in those uncomfortable positions. I'm willing to get out of my wheelchair to try to do a pull up for the first time, or I'm willing to get out of my chair to do a rope climb for the first time. I need you to want those things, because if you just come in just be like, well, I'm here because I no longer have physical therapy, or I'm just here because my caregiver made me, I really have a hard time with that. I want you to want it,
Hmm.
but that's what makes you a really good coach, is you have to understand that you cannot want it more than these athletes. Doesn't matter if they're adaptive or if they're able-bodied. If you want something more than that athlete, then typically it doesn't work out. Um, but I think that's what makes you a really good coach, is, helping them change their mindset to, you know, pushing past being uncomfortable. And for a lot of these adaptive athletes, they're very uncomfortable because um, they've had an accident that maybe left them paralyzed from the waist down. And, I'm trying to get them to lift a barbell again, or I'm trying to get them to deadlift again. And yes, it can be uncomfortable, but they just have to have the mindset for that. So it's a lot of fun. And I think for coaches, it's challenging them. So, typically I would say when you are working with an able-bodied athlete, you kind of know what to expect. You know what to look for with an air squat. You know what to look for with it in a deadlift.
Hmm.
All these things, these fundamental movements that you know what to look for. But when you have an athlete that comes in that has torn their ACL, right? That's acute. I wouldn't say that's a long-term injury, right? That's very, easy to kind of work with. But let's say they have had a stroke or something like that that has left them maybe with paralysis on the left side. How are you going to adapt as a coach? Like, do you have that ability to turn it on to when they come in? You're like, I already know how I'm going to adapt for you. If you don't, you need to take my online adaptive courses, and that will give you the education and the tools so that you can work with those athletes. So we have yeah, go ahead.
Like, no, like what I was going to say is, those athletes, it's almost like you're saying, hey, I don't want to, like a workers' comp coming in and training, and you're like, all right, they're just
Sure.
really here to check a box versus
Yeah.
you really want to be here. And like, you're now giving, like, I'm just thinking you're giving that person purpose and then the impact that it's going to make on their life to then everybody that they're around. And like, that's just why
Yeah,
this
and
excites me
that's the
so
thing
much.
too, is yes, there's of course that huge mental health aspect of these guys just coming in the door, but I want the athlete that is eager to, go to the next level from a seated position, or, whether that's Paralympics or it's the CrossFit Adaptive Games, which we actually have one of our athletes, his name is Cody. He is attending the Adaptive Wheel Wad CrossFit Games next weekend in Vegas, which is really cool.
Sheesh.
And we're going there to support him. But he is competing with guys from all over the world that are in similar divisions or similar categories. So he is considered a seeded three athlete. So he is now competing with other guys that are in the same division, which is really cool. So, and the mindset with the Wheel Wad organization is, and I know this from experience because I volunteered with them one year as a judge. But I said, "Hey, I don't wanna no rep this individual because they couldn't do the movement, let's say they were doing dips or muscle ups.
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, he didn't fully lock out. I don't but I feel bad no repping him." And they said, "You need to no rep
What?
him. Either he hasn't been training or he's not prepared, or he physically can't do it." So it was interesting hearing that mindset to, sorry, too bad. They either were not prepared to come in here, or they just physically can't do it. So I think that they set the standard to be like, hey, this is something we're going to work towards. If you can't do a rope climb, well, we got to figure it out.
Yeah, like that. I would probably have a hard time with that though, because it's
Right.
like I don't want to no rep anybody
It's a
that
big
got there.
deal,
Because,
right?
but
I know.
hearing it, you have to because the integrity of the sport. Because now you start
Correct.
widening for home plate, and now a ball is called a strike, and now like
Yeah,
even the
exactly. And
cascade of
honestly,
problems.
some of the athletes, they don't want that special treatment. They want that they want that
No, they
challenge.
don't.
But
Yeah.
that's 1%. The 99% that the general population, I would say aren't on that level just yet. Hopefully I get them there over time. But that is something I want them to work towards. But most of the time, they're acutely injured. We have a lot to work on. But Cody, who's going next weekend, he was an elite gymnast. He was in high school and sustained a spinal cord injury from going off the high bars at an open gym session that
Ooh.
he was doing. And now he's paralyzed from the waist down. But that kid is just so driven. He's like, no problem. I'm gonna get my license and I'm gonna get the modalities to drive again. Like that's the mentality we're looking for, right? Not just in the gym setting, but outside of the gym setting to be like, anything that comes our way, we're able to handle. And I think that's why I started my program to begin with, is because we are all 1 second away from our lives being completely changed from something. We are all one instant away from, us maybe having a stroke or a spinal cord injury or losing a limb from an accident. Like those things could happen to any of us at any point. And it's like, who would I go to? You know?
Yep. And that right there is why I'm so passionate about it, because you're right. In a moment's
Hmm.
snap, anything can happen. Like that athlete who is
Right.
routinely on
Not
the
a big deal.
bars, not a big deal. Anybody who usually does a CrossFit person who's
Yeah.
maybe doing a handstand push up, or anybody who's doing a burp, like a muscle up, and
Yeah.
where are they going to go? And that is my thing. You're talking to private sector strength coaches right now, too. What do you say to that strength coach that might get somebody that came into the gym? They were vulnerable enough to come in and say, hey, I have these adaptive needs. And maybe they don't even say that. They're like, hey, I have this injury. How do you help me work around it? What do you say to that strength coach that might look at that person in the eye and say, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to help you. Should they
Hmm.
take them? Should obviously contact and reach out to you to learn how to help this individual. But what are the
Yeah,
steps to get
so
from there?
definitely reach out to me. I would love to, help them get programming. I can help them with understanding, how to coach up these athletes. That's not a problem. So definitely reach out to me. But I also say, as a strength coach, you need to make sure that that athlete is within your scope of practice. That's number one. So before that athlete even steps foot in their gym, there should be an application process. There should be a way for that athlete. Yeah, that's a big
Uh,
thing that I've learned now. I've had this program for 5 years, but going ahead of time and getting the details of this athlete before they even step foot in your gym, because it's very hard to say no to somebody when they're desperately looking you in the face and saying, I will do anything
yeah.
to work with you. But if you get that
Yep.
information ahead of time, I get, level of injury, I get, prior physical training. What were they doing before they got injured? What have they done since? Are they currently in PT or OT or any sort of healthcare provider that needs to potentially write that off as being like, that athlete's okay to go
Mm-hmm.
do physical training with you? And then I've also gotten to the point where I recommend that these athletes send a video of themselves ahead of time, maybe doing a simple task at home. Maybe that's getting in and out of a chair. Maybe that's simply verbalizing their name or where they're from, those things. Because I've
Yeah.
had in the past people put on their application, this athlete is verbal, they're mobile, they can do all these things, and then they'll come in and they are nonverbal and they're paralyzed from the neck down, right? And then now I'm standing there saying, okay, well, this is unfortunately outside of my scope of practice. So, to all of those strength coaches out there, like, you want to get ahead of that before they even step foot. And then if they are within your scope of practice, know what that is. Just fitness, right? We're not healthcare providers. We are not PT. Well, unless you are, right? Different story. But as far as I'm concerned,
Yeah.
I stay within the fitness side of things. So, what are the fundamental movements? Do I want them to be able to squat again, deadlift, press, push, all of these important things? And then I just kind of stay within that realm. Um, but yeah, if they end up taking my online course too, I walk through kind of some of like the assessments you would want to do on these athletes, some different contraindications, so reasons you shouldn't work with an athlete. There's a laundry list of things that I put out there to help you become a better coach.
Anybody that hasn't heard our first episode, it's linked down below. Go listen to it, click on it. But before they do that, or if anybody, they probably won't, let's call it what it is. Like, where did you get like, they're probably wondering, how did Emily get like the confidence and wherewithal to be the one to be like, hey, let me help educate you so you can train these athletes and help them have a better life. And ultimately, you're making the world a better place one person at a time, whether you'll say it or not. I'll speak life into that. How did you get the wherewithal and the confidence to do that? Because golly, some people, when you're bringing back, and like you said, it just
Mm-hmm.
Achilles, a knee injury or something, it's like, I want to make
Sure.
this right and help this person out, but it's at a whole nother level of
Yeah,
what you're
and
talking about.
it definitely is experience and years of hands-on. So, I mean, I'm a big component. Yes, having licensure and certifications, all of that is amazing. But until you actually get your hands on these athletes, that's where you learn so much, and you learn so much from them. And that's how I got started. I worked with a spinal cord injury who was a prior Marine, and he came to me and they told him he would never squat again. He would never run again. He wouldn't be able to do all these things again. And that, I would say, 6 months into us working together, I had him doing box step ups. He was squatting all the way below parallel to a ball, like all of these things that, but in what happened during that time frame is I didn't have any special certifications at that time. I just had the I would say I had a skill with being able to adapt to those situations. But it happened a little bit before that. So even when we owned a gym in 2016, and athletes would come in and they said, hey, I've torn my ACL, or I can't weight bear on this arm, I would already in my head say, okay, great, this is what you're going to be doing today instead. So I think it takes experience, but also the mindset to be like, not a problem. Let's do this instead. It takes a while, but it also takes an athlete to kind of guide you to where you feel comfortable and confident working with these guys. Because, yes, it can be very intimidating. They are still very injured at the end of the day, they can still get hurt on your watch. And if you do not make it a safe environment, more than likely they will not come back. You won't have people sending you your patient. So safety always comes first, of course. Um, but it was really cool when I worked with this veteran. I would try things with him and he would say, no, don't love that. Didn't feel good. Okay, cool. Let's try this instead. And we did that for like a 6 month period before he ended up relocating. And that taught me so much about, meet the athlete where they are and then show them little things that they can do over and over. Kaizen stands for continual progress in Japanese. And I truly believe that is, what can we do every day that will kind of work towards that goal that they have? Is that so they want to be able to walk without a walker again, or they want to be able to do a pull up again from a seated position? All these things. Well, what are you working on with them that's going to help them get towards that? So, um, understand that you as a coach, you need to invest your time in these athletes, not just in the gym, but also outside, and, be in connection with their healthcare providers. Have their PTs or their OTs like saying, hey, we worked on this today. Maybe try this today with them instead. Like, having synergy between healthcare providers and coaches is so important. We are not against each other. We should all be working together. I'm a huge component of that. Because the ultimate goal is to get these athletes better and doing what they love doing.
It, and anybody listening right now that's working in college, professional sport, they're hearing and they're instantly thinking high performance model where I'm working with my athletic trainer, maybe my physical
Mm-hmm.
therapist, nutritionist, sports psych, right? And you're just doing that now, specific niche of private setting and adaptive athletes that
Mm-hmm.
need that. But when you do that, you are putting that athlete at the
Yeah.
center of all decision
And
making.
our goal is to kind of do the same thing where we bring in somebody for mindset or we bring somebody in for breath work, subject matter experts, so that they're not just getting that physical training session and just going home. Like we're trying to help them so that they can get back to their new normal. And sometimes that's going to require a nutritionist, a sports psychologist, all of these people out there that are great resources for not just adaptive athletes, but our able bodied athletes too, is incredible. And I think it just shows that you have added value in your facility, or you have really good connections with other people that you trust to bring in to say, hey, this is maybe out of my scope of practice, but I want you to learn from this nutritionist on how you should be fueling for performance. Simple things like that. I think goes a really long way as a coach to bring people in. I think that's really important.
Last time we've talked, a lot has evolved. Where do you see, I think it's been about 2 years, next 2 years. I know you can't really tell, you're just going to try to be as obedient as you can, but where do you see things going, continuing to see things evolve? It looks like staff has evolved
Yeah.
from what I've seen online with you all.
Yeah,
Like,
so big thing for us, growing classes, growing our team. So we have more coaches, more adaptive coaches on board. We have a coaches seminar this Saturday, and we have 11 attendees. So we'll have 11 more Kaizen adaptive coaches out there in the world. Two of them, which are flying in from California to Virginia Beach, which is really cool.
whoa.
So if anybody is listening and they want to attend, you can still make it work. But or we have our online stuff, of course, and then our main thing right now too is we want to have some sort of expansion in our facility to where we have physical therapists, massage therapists, and nutrition all under the same roof, so that it's kind of like a one-stop shop, and a lounge area where they can hang out. Our program is now a 501(c)(3), so our goal is to bring in grants and funding to help this program evolve to where they are coming for more than just the fitness aspect. They come there for meals, they come there for mindset training, a psychiatrist, all of those things I think is really important. So that's kind of where I see our program growing over the next few years.
Yeah, the things that you just saw me writing down was being like, I want to connect you with the guy Lee, who's in charge of the tactical special interest group at
Yeah.
the NSCA, because like I'm sure he's got coaches that are asking questions, right? You got wounded
Yeah.
warriors in the area. The NSCA Foundation, I'm on. I just got elected to the
Great.
board, but connecting you to Carissa in terms of grants, and then like this is something NSCA Tactical just
Yeah.
happened,
My husband
right?
was
Like
there.
or even just at like. Okay, but like I'm just saying, like there is no like in my opinion, I don't
Yeah.
get to decide any of this stuff, but it's like you need to be presenting on this because it's like talk about a topic that
Yeah.
doesn't get talked about, but this is real and there are people around that have served our country, or maybe they haven't, they had an injury, but we can make the world better because I've had able-bodied people be like, "Oh my gosh, you've made my life better from just training me." And it's like, yeah, that was
Mm-hmm.
so simple versus like, man, these people might be battling, like I've battled demons. We've all battled some demons. And if you can help people,
Yeah,
that's
and
just what I care
and
about.
you bring up a good point because I did speak at a few local state clinics for the NSCA, and it was really cool because the questions that I had afterwards were, we didn't even know this existed. And so that was really
Yes.
cool to kind of put that out there. Um, and to me, it seems like such a simple thing for a coach to be so well-rounded that you can program for anyone that comes into your facility or anyone that comes into your program, but it is a special thing that needs to be taught. So that's why I created the courses online and in person, is because my hope is to give people the confidence back as a coach, so that you don't always have to feel like, oh, well, I don't feel comfortable working with you. Instead, you can say, well, great, come on in. I'll take good care of you. That's what we're looking for.
So for anybody that's listening, like I said, we're respecting your time. Where can they learn more about the online stuff and be able to, like, obviously LinkedIn,
Hmm.
find you there, but what's the website? Where can everybody go
Yeah,
and
so
follow you more?
kaizenadaptivetraining.org is going to be where you find all of our online courses. So that's Kaizen and then adaptivetraining.org. and you'll see different protocols, whether you are an amputee, spinal cord injury, stroke survivor, or invisible wounds, which would be your TBIs, PTSD. So we have protocols for either one of those sections, or you can just take our big adaptive course and that will give you everything. Yeah, so there are a lot of options out there. We have an affiliate program now too. So if you're interested in growing your own program, but you're in California, we walk you through how to start a program that is similar to ours. And then you would kind of be on our map. So if somebody reached out to us about training, but you
Oh my
lived in
gosh.
California, we would then send them to your facility because we know you have coaches that are able to work with them and you have a facility that's accessible for them.
That's incredible. I have goosebumps again. That's incredible. I have nothing else to say. That is fantastic. This was the fastest cheeky midweeky, folks. We want to respect your time. Thank you for coming. Thanks for watching that video. If you enjoyed it, click right here for videos just like that, and make sure you click here to subscribe to our channel. Have a great rest of your day.